Let's jump right in. So first, what is the Thalidomide Tragedy? Thalidomide was introduced in the 1950s to the 60s as a drug that could treat nausea in pregnant women. It was first developed in Germany in the 1950s as a sedative specifically for pregnant women and morning sickness, but the drug would soon be exposed for its effects on the pregnant women and their newborn children, eventually be questioned and raise concern for drug testing and the impact the researching, testing, and production process of drugs and vaccinations and treatments. And here we have an image of thalidomide, the actual drug that was used by pregnant women or prescribed to pregnant women. So yeah, this is a very popular drug, and it was used in other medications and vaccinations as an ingredient. Some background info. It was first tested in non-pregnant animal trials before moving on to human trials. In the animal trials, the drug was deemed non-harmful, even in high doses in which human trials would begin. The human trials saw similar results to the animals, with the only concern being that there were few to small side effects when high doses were given. But it was noted that these high doses only saw complaints of sleepiness and constipation. This would ultimately lead to its release into the public as it was deemed safe and non-harmful for humans. And here we have an image of animal testing on thalidomide. Now, a very important note, this is a recent study that was conducted in 2016, not in the 1950s or 60s. And here we have a thalidomide-induced limb abnormality and a mice. So yeah, this is, and you see this similarly in the human fetuses and whatnot. So the effects of thalidomide, after the drug was released, its effects would soon be exposed, more specifically in babies. Obviously, in the late 1950s, doctors started to notice a surplus in babies that are being born with abnormalities such as shortened or missing limbs. This would raise suspicion over thalidomide, as the similarity of the women affected was the use of the drug or other drugs that had it labeled as an ingredient. This investigation would gain more popularity since Grippix, which was a popular treatment for the flu, had contained thalidomide, which revealed a greater number of mothers and newborns that were affected by thalidomide. This would lead to Australian Dr. William McBride to take matters to his own hands after he and his wife faced the birth defects firsthand with their newborn, in which he got Sydney Women's Hospital to stop prescribing the drug with his findings and theory. He then tried to request another research be conducted in order to prove thalidomide was dangerous, but was denied by the University of Sydney. And here we have an image of thalidomide. This is of the timeline of the history. So here we have first case 1956, and yeah, McBride is right there too. So yeah, this is just a brief overview of the history of thalidomide. So moving forward, the flaws in thalidomide. It was later found out that the company responsible for developing the drug was poorly researched and should have never been approved in the first place. The German company known as Chemie Grünenthal was at fault for these studies, and were also the first to introduce penicillin into the German market post-war. Some of the flaws in their research included the absence of a placebo group, indication of time of treatment. None of the studies were double-blind, and also there was no report on the measurement of thalidomide being given to the animals or patients. Proper research and experimenting was conducted in the 1960s on pregnant animals in order to truly understand the effects that thalidomide could have on newborns, and the results were shocking to say the least. Some of the effects included miscarriage, reabsorption of the fetus in the womb, implications in the eyes, heart, brain, and extremities. An important note, these effects varied on the stage of pregnancy. And then here we have more images of the physical effects of thalidomide. And then more images. On the left we have, I believe, 5 to 7-year-old children. And then on the right is a couple. And just a quick summary about the couple on the right, which is called the Thalidomide family. So Luis Medus was born in 1962 to David and Vicky Mason, and was among the 550 British children affected by thalidomide, a drug prescribed to pregnant women to combat morning sickness. Luis's father initially struggled to accept her severe physical deformities, but later regretted his decision and fought tirelessly for justice alongside other affected families. Despite her challenging upbringing in residential care, Louise appreciates her father's efforts to secure compensation for thalidomide survivors, even though it strained the relationship. She acknowledges the broader impact of thalidomide on families and societies and advocates for recognition of the emotional toll on parents and caregivers. Despite her own difficulties, Louise demonstrates resilience and acceptance and a commitment to raising awareness about disability and discrimination. The effects of thalidomide. So thalidomide completely shook the world from physical health to the federal system. This is because thalidomide highlighted a concerning issue within the pharmacy industry and medical, which was there were no regulations in place to stop such occurrences from happening. This means that Kimi Grunetto or any other company like them could produce and market any toxic drug to the public that they wanted without proper research, experiment, and studies. This also meant the public had no protection against these companies and their products, especially since in countries such as Canada, UK, and Germany, for example, which to note where thalidomide was being sold in and was popular, they did not have a strict of an agency like the US does with the FDA, which did not approve of the drug based on its lack of data. Soon after thalidomide was withdrawn by 1961 and banned by the end of the decade, over 10,000 infants had been infected. Most infants died after a year of birth, and there was a large uncounted number of cases of miscarriages and still pregnancies. In June 1963, the Committee on the Safety of Drugs was introduced. Animal testing was changed so that pregnant animals would be tested as well in all stages. The Medicines Act was introduced in 1968, and the FDA revamped the regulatory process for drugs. The cultural impacts or connections. So, culturally speaking, Thalidomide Tragedy has inspired numerous artistic works, including literature, film, and visual art, that explores the themes of adversity, resilience, and the quest for justice. These creations often highlight the personal stories of thalidomide survivors and their families, shedding light on the human impact of medical negligence and the strength of the human spirit in the face of adversity. Moreover, the Thalidomide Tragedy has spurred discussions around disability rights, inclusivity, challenging societal perceptions of disability, and advocating for greater support and recognition for individuals with disabilities. It serves as a catalyst for promoting empathy, understanding, and acceptance of differences within society. In conclusion, the cultural connection to the Thalidomide Tragedy resonates deeply with themes of accountability, compassion, and the ongoing pursuit of justice and equality for all. That is the end. Thank you for watching or reading, and thank you, FDA, for keeping us safe.